Good morning, everybody. This is Rendezvous with Rob, and I'm going to have a whole lot of fun with these things. But anyway, what I'd like to talk about today is the law. You ever heard of that? It's the law. Well, there's a whole lot of different types of laws, and in the ancient world, there was the Hebrews had dietary laws, and they're certainly not in effect nowadays. But today we've got man-made laws, and so let's talk a little bit about man-made laws. With a man-made law, it's like this, like for instance, the speed limit. You're driving down the interstate at 70 miles an hour, and before you know it, you look up and you got to adjust the cruise control because the law changed and it went down to 60 or maybe even 55, and before you know it, at different places, the laws is different depending upon what city you're in. There's different, I'm on my street, it's 25 miles an hour, and outside of my office right here, it's 45. The law is different all over the place, and that's one of the characteristics of man-made laws is that they're not very consistent. They're different in different places. They're not applied the same, and something. One of the cool things about man-made laws is you can get away with breaking them. Let me ask you this. Have you ever gone 1 mile over the speed limit and didn't get caught? Or maybe even, driving down the interstate, you make a conscious decision. Well, I just don't agree with that 55 mile an hour speed zone ahead, and I'm going to leave it on 70. And something, depending upon the time of the day, it might be donut time for the troopers or whatever, and they're not out on the highways, and you can just blaze through there and you can get away with it. Now, the difference between man-made laws and other laws, let's talk about natural laws. Natural laws are naturally occurring in nature. Probably the most well-known natural law that most people know about would be the law of gravity. And the law of gravity is equal regardless of wherever you're at in the world. You could jump off a 100-story building from downtown New York City, and you're going to go splat on the sidewalk. And, if you do the same thing, say, in Vladivostok, Russia, and you jump out of a 100-story window, you're going to go splat on the sidewalk because that's one of the characteristics of natural laws is that they're neutral. They're applied equally throughout the whole world, and it doesn't matter really where you're at. And you can't get away with breaking them. There's no way that you can break a natural law and not suffer the consequences or the benefits from whatever or whatever it might be, the consequences of breaking the law. And so, for instance, to give you an example, it's kind of funny. The other day I was at home sitting behind my computer in the dining room, and the news is going on in the background, and there's this story about these young boys. They're probably, I say young boys, young men. They're 21 years old or so, and they went skiing. And a couple of them got on the ski lift, and the next one's getting ready to get on the ski lift. And right before he jumps on the chair, he reaches down and grabs a bunch of snow, and he's going to throw a snowball at his buddies in the chair ahead of him. So they get going, and his buddies ahead of him, they've got their iPhones out, and they're videotaping him acting like an idiot, right? Well, he grabs a hold of this snowball that he made, and he goes and he throws that snowball at him. And he broke the law of gravity. He goes flying out of this chair, and the consequences are going to be pretty dire for him because it is a very deep drop. I mean, probably hundreds and hundreds of feet, and he's going to go splat up against the snow or a rock or something. But on his way out of the chair, he reaches out and grabs a hold of something. And he grabs a hold of the chair, and he's like hanging on with one arm, and then he pulls up the other arm, and he's hanging on with both arms. And he actually continues to do this for like 6 minutes until ultimately his will and his strength give out, and the law of gravity takes over, and he falls. Well, fortunately for him, it's only about a 45-foot drop, or, I don't know, maybe like from the top of a 2-story building or something. But he did bang up his head pretty bad, and blood all over the place, and he bruised some of his internal organs. However, he did not get away with breaking a natural law. And that's one of the characteristics of the natural laws, whether it be Newton's laws or any of the natural laws, you can't break them and get away with it. Now, like natural laws, mental laws are the same way. Mental laws are equally enforced throughout. It doesn't matter who you are, doesn't matter whether you believe in them, doesn't matter whether you even learned about them, doesn't matter whether or not that you think you're subject to them. And so what I want to talk about over the next week and a half or so are some of these mental laws in the hopes that, it'll help us become better people, maybe be a blessing to other people, and maybe be a help for others. And so, having said that, tune in tomorrow. We'll start with the first law. But until then, remember, God loves you. Remember, I do too. And I hope you have a fantastic day.